Good afternoon and welcome to the inaugural Black Minds Matter Black-Owned Schools Tour. My name is Denisha Merriweather, founder of Black Minds Matter and host of this year's Black-Owned Schools Tour. During this year's tour, we are visiting 8 Black-owned schools from across the country, from Wisconsin, Tennessee, the District of Columbia, California, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Arizona. The purpose of the Black Minds Matter movement is to raise awareness of the institutional inequities in the education system that eerily resemble the institutional injustices in our criminal justice system. We seek to liberate Black minds and nourish them with a rich education by any means necessary, because our essence and our being deserve life. This year's school tour is a manifestation of those hopes and visions. We know all across the country, many African Americans have founded schools, and we want to hear their stories and celebrate them. Education has always meant Black power, Black liberty, and Black justice. The freedom of the body and the mind has always been the goal, and African Americans won't stop at nothing to achieve that. To learn more about the Black Minds Matter movement, please visit our website. It looks amazing at blackmindsmatter.net. And to see more of the schools in the school visit blackmindsmatter.net/events. Thanks so much for joining, and let's hop right into it. This school that we're visiting right now is Wilder's Preparatory Academy in California. And let's take a quick look at their impact.
Remember, nice and loud and slow. Got it? There we go.
Good morning, Wilders teachers and students. Happy Wednesday. This Friday, our spring pictures. We will continue our Black History facts for this week. Did you know that on February 21st, 1965,
Wilders community is really unique because we're like a family. In your family, you have high expectations for education, for integrity, for a way of life. And so here at Wilders, we instill that in our students.
Wilders is a school of choice, and the parents that are here choose to be here. They want to be here.
I've been involved from a parental standpoint as well as from a community standpoint, and now, playing a role as a teacher.
Again, our learning target is we can understand historical events through literary and informational text. She's seeking freedom in all of these songs, right?
Wilders have instilled that into the teachers.
I say to my team all the time, I work amongst the most committed people. I think that they're committed to all the right things, not just academics, but creating good people.
We work closely together as a grade level, and we work closely with the other grade levels as well to make sure that we are all on the same page, making sure that all our children succeed.
Amazing. So, Miss Ramona, thank you so much for joining me during this Black-Owned Schools Tour. This is the inaugural event. We hope to do this continually every year to highlight the successes of Black-owned schools. And can you tell me what that means to you to be to be the daughter of a Black-owned school founder?
Well, good morning. It's probably afternoon for some that are watching, but good morning. It is an absolutely amazing feeling to be the legacy of parents that founded an African-American school, and not just an African-American school, but an African-American school that has been ranked #1 in educating African-American students. that is truly amazing. It's a good feeling, and it's personal to be able to continue it and to continue to work with the families and the communities to make sure that the kids are receiving a superior education. That is what excites me. And seeing the success of the students is what excites me. We are able to educate students of color. We're able to hire staff of color. We're able to contribute in the well-roundedness of all of the students. It's an absolutely amazing task.
Amazing. And let's cut to a video of your rich school's history. I was very deeply moved by the history of your father and your mother in founding Wilder's Academy. And so let's take a look.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Oh, can we hear it?
I cannot.
Great-great-grandson was a successful developer, wanting to give back to his community. Raymond Wilder and his educator wife, Dr. Carolyn Wilder, first start a private preschool. Then, of course, it becomes a kindergarten, then elementary, and the middle school for young Black children in Inglewood. Then one day, this happened.
My husband had this building, and they were doing some work here. And a young man stopped by. I think he was about 8 or 9 years old. And he said, you building a school here? He said, yes, I want to go to that school. And my husband just literally said, can you read? He said, yes. So he had a cement bag, and he said, read what's on here. And he did. My husband came home, and he said, everybody cannot afford to go to our private school. Let's do a charter school.
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. This sentence is grammatically correct.
Thus was born the Wilder's Preparatory Academy Charter School, founded by Dr. Carolyn Wilder and her husband, the late Raymond D. Wilder, and now run by their daughter, Ramona Wilder. Altogether, today's school choice all-stars is the Wilder family. Ramona is the 5th generation of Wilders dedicated to education.
The transition behind going from a private school to a independent public free charter school, the thought behind that was, let's provide every student a private school education for free. And we wanted to be the school, and this was my father and my mother's dream, to be the school in the community that was able to do that. So we took the same management style, the expectations of each student, and we put that into the charter school vision. And that's what our school is all about, having top quality education regardless of where any student lives or where they come from. They deserve that.
I am a champion, and I will win. Wilders serves 600 predominantly African American students from kindergarten to the 8th grade. It is one of the highest performing schools throughout California, especially when it comes to closing the achievement gap for African American students.
You say beep, beep.
Our motto is that we build the future. We are very passionate. We believe that children can learn and they want to learn, and failure is not an option in our philosophy here. You'll hear a lot of parents say, we are Wilders. What that means is we are a family. We have parent workshops on many things. It can be from financial workshops. It can be for purchasing a home. We have mental health workshops that will teach parents how they can better help their children. We teach them how to help kids with homework. So pretty much any need that a family has, we offer the resources to guide them in the right direction to satisfy whatever their needs are in order to get help. And surprisingly, in doing that, it helps the child to be better prepared.
At Wilders, it was kid first. If they had any shortcomings, it was the village that went together to build them back up, to keep them up to speed and go past the speed, to be not only good at it, but to excel at it.
One of the features that we do have here at Wilders that's different is we have a classroom teacher and we have what's called an intervention teacher. And that intervention teacher, for example, at Wilders, there are 3 classes in every grade. So each grade has one intervention teacher. The intervention teacher works with students that are below. They work with students that are above. They work to help the teacher bring those students that are below up to basic, and they work with those that are advanced to make sure that they don't stay stagnant and they achieve and excel even further than that. My father, he had a passion that how can we be successful as a people, as a race? And the key to that was education.
When African American educators run a school for mostly Black kids, they can do something more than provide a quality education. They can provide an educational experience tailored for African American children. No Black History Month in such schools. Every month is Black History Month. Every day is Black Pride Day.
The experience here at Wilders has changed my kids in different ways. One is being proud of who they are and where they come from. So that's huge, just having that sense of pride of being African American and living in the city of Inglewood. So that alone, and then just building their confidence. We believe in preparing students to be productive citizens in the 21st century. We believe in bringing out the whole child. We believe that, yes, you're going to get a good education here, but you're going to find out who you are.
My original school, I learned a lot of stuff, but I just didn't know what I wanted to be, what I wanted to like go. And so I got into Wilders, and I've been there ever since 5th grade. They help you succeed, and I pinpointed what I really want to do, and they prepared me for what I have to do to be able to pursue my dream.
They focus a lot on structure. To me, that's huge for us, because when we were looking for schools, we were looking for schools that have the exact same values as we do. And Wilder, the values are in line with our values. We are a old school, traditional value school in a modern day environment now. And that's what we tell our parents. We have old school values, and we stick to those. And we don't sway from what our values and what we believe. And that's why it's a parent's choice whether they want to attend our school. It goes far beyond students getting A's and B's and all of the accolades of great test scores. But it's the heart of the family and the students on we're producing productive citizens that can lead the world.
It is rewarding. To me, it brings tears to my eyes, because that's what we're all about, having students be successful and not failure.
The Wilder family, from Hosea in the 19th century to Raymond, Carolyn, and Ramona in the 21st century, and the Wilders Preparatory Academy Charter School in Inglewood are school choice all-stars, making choices in education available for African Americans through 5 generations. I'm Roland Martin.
What's the difference between your lawn and a true green lawn?
We can't hear you.
Oh, wow. So tell me a little bit about those 5 generations of educators. What does that look like?
Well, back in the 1800s, it would be my great-great-great-grandfather. They started a school in an old church building for African American, mostly freed slaves when education was not a civil right. So it has a lot of history to it, because once the Caucasian Americans found out that African Americans were learning in that building, they would burn the church down. And so my family would have to rebuild the church to have a school again, but it gave determination that this is something that was definitely needed. So that's how it all started. And from that point on, education has just been the most important thing in our family, that we make sure that our community and the families in the community received an education. My father was an electrical engineer by trade, and my mother was a college professor. And to fulfill his dreams, he decided he wanted to give back to his community. And that is how Wilder's Preparatory Academy Charter School was started. There was another school before that, but it just went through the generations. And my father passed away about 8 years ago, and I took over that legacy and have the pleasure of being able to educate African Americans and help to close the academic achievement gap.
Yeah. And so tell me a little bit about your father's vision for the school and even the transition, because while I was reading, it went from a daycare to then a private school and now a public charter school. But even in that transition from a daycare to serve more grade levels, I feel like there are a lot of Black churches that have daycares. And so where did that transition come from?
So here's the difference. So my mother, professor of child development, trained teachers to be teachers, and that started with small kids at age 2. So the first school was called Tender Care Child Development Center, and they were from ages 2 to 5. Well, they didn't just want any school. They wanted a school that was exceptional. So the kids, before they went to kindergarten, they were reading and writing in cursive.
Yeah.
So the parents at that point were so ecstatic about that, they wanted us to start first grade. And so each year it was first grade, then it was second grade, then it was third grade, and then it turned into just opening up an elementary school. And it went from K through 5 then, and that's how Tender Care Child Development Center became Wilder's Preparatory Academy. Well, in between that time, there was a private school, and many of the families that needed to be in the school couldn't afford to go to the private school. And so my father, as in the video, decided, you know what, we need to do something in order to allow these kids to be able to be educated for free, but to still provide them the same quality education that private schools have. And that was the philosophy behind that yes, you can learn, as evident when you take kids before they get to kindergarten, if they're already reading and writing, it tells you that yes, we can learn if you're pushed to do so, and if you're guided to do so, if you are put in that type of environment. And now we have kids, the graduates that first started are they're doing amazing things, from out of medical school, out of law school. Some of them are in acting. I mean, whatever their desires were, they're able to accomplish their dreams, and most of them come back. We have kids coming to the school now, so it's turning into a generational thing. So it's a good place to be. It's a good thing to be able to contribute and give back. And for me, it's a wonderful thing to uphold the legacy.
Yeah. And, as I went down this rabbit hole of Black Minds Matter to elevate and the need for more education options for Black people in America. And then the next rabbit hole of Black-owned schools. We had an episode on one of our podcasts talking about the history of school choice. And what you pointed out with your great great grandfather with his one-room schoolhouse, educating freed peoples who were not given access to traditional school models. I was finding a lot of that and seeing that there were one-room schoolhouses, there were Black-owned schools, and it was something that was just a no-brainer. You know, we didn't have to think about it. But now we created, under the Black Minds Matter, the first ever directory of Black-owned schools now. And so it's for me, it's kind of rewinding the clock back, you know, to highlight founders such as your father and the legacy that you're able to continue, and to hopefully bring in more people to found schools. What advice would you give to people who are thinking about founding a school? And yeah, what would you tell them?
Well, first of all, I want to say that the school was founded by both my mother and my father and mother. So I want to make sure that that we note that it was the two of them. So for founding a school, you have got to have the passion and the heart to want to do it, because it is full of many, many, many challenges. But I think that in today's times, we're going back to where we were before. The value and the importance of an education is needed now more than anything. And while we can be educated anywhere, doesn't have to be a Black school educating Black individuals, but students love to see people that look like them. And I think that that's an important factor, to be able to have a African-American founded, African-American run school that has a staff that also has a percentage of African Americans on their faculty that can understand, they can relate to culture, they can share more than just the education piece. That's a given. You've got to get the education, but to have the well-rounded child and be able to understand what they're going through and how to motivate them and share your experiences, I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And I've been asking some of the schools this, just out of curiosity. Do you think Black-owned schools have a special flair and flavor to them?
I think they do, honestly. I think they do, as I think in all races have a unique, special flair to them. Yes, I'm going to say yes, definitely to that.
What are your hopes for your students? What's your motto, and what are some of the hopes and dreams you have for your students, especially during this day and age when things are remote and different?
Well, our school motto is "We build the future." And our young people today, we expect everyone to build the future. When you graduate from Wilders, you graduate with a sense of pride that you can be anything that you want to be. You have that choice to be what you want to be. We teach them that failure is just simply not an option. There's too much riding on it, and it is an expectation for you to do and achieve, and know that you have support to do so. And that's what we build. We want students that can go out into the world and contribute and make their own history.
Yeah. There's a conversation around, you know, the piece of the puzzle that you guys serve in, is education reform aspect. And, you know, sometimes it's a bit disconnected from the people on the ground who's doing the work. And so I'm just wondering, like, when it comes to being a Black founded school, how does that fit, in your opinion, in the larger vision of education reform, where you have one side, you know, touting and fighting for more school options, and another side that's saying we're good?
Well, it's a little disheartening to me, but it does help the drive to want to push and do more. It would be my hope that we get to a point where there's one type of education, and all of that is a great education, regardless of what the race is, but understanding that there are distinct differences amongst cultures. And once you recognize that, you can move forward. I personally feel that there's a lot of disparity in the whole education system, and we should not be all fighting against each other or against one way. We should all be focused on what can we do to provide our students in the United States to have the best possible public education available. And I think once we get to that point, we will do a lot better. You know, you've got some schools that do wonderful, some large school districts are great, and some are not. We have to get rid of the disparity amongst all of it and become one great institution that educates children.
Yes, and cosign. It's every 4 years, 4 years, when the NAEP scores come out and the PISA scores come out, you know, we are always falling behind other countries internationally. And you look at NAEP scores, we're barely inching towards proficiency. And so it begs the question, are any of our kids in America really receiving a good education as a whole? And we do need to make sure that we're replicating good models.
Right.
And so you're right on. And so this is our feature of Wilder's Preparatory Academy. Thank you so much, Miss Ramona Wilder, daughter of the two founders, her mother and her father. What a fantastic legacy to continue of being a Black-owned founder. And our next visit, you can learn more about all of the schools that we're visiting at blackmindsmatter.net. We are visiting 8 schools today and tomorrow. And so tune in to see more. The next school that we'll be visiting later today is Nia House Montessori School in Tennessee at 4 p.m. Eastern and 3 Central. Hope you guys will join us to hear from their school founder. And thanks so much for being with us today. Thanks, Miss Ramona.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You
Bye,
too.
guys.